Hello, friends. So good to be with you today. I've got something I want to talk to you about that's very important. Decision making. Decision making is one of the most challenging and difficult things that I think we can encounter because most of the decisions we make, they're not huge decisions. Sometimes they're just simply small decisions, and we feel the pressure of the moment. It's almost like when people are standing over you. It's with you're holding a menu, for instance, and you're looking at it, and they're standing over you. You feel this. You feel it. I don't care what you say. You feel it. The pressure. They're waiting, and okay, I've got to quickly make a decision. And it's hard when you're not used to it. I mean, it really is. As a matter of fact, it's so much easier just to defer to someone else and say, you make the decision for me. Well, you've seen that before. Where do you want to eat? Oh, I don't know. Where do you want to eat? It's almost like you're afraid to commit to it. I don't know if it's just the fact that we don't want to feel like we're an outlier, we're someone that's in opposition to whatever, but you do that. Where do you want to eat? I don't know. Where do you want to eat? Well, I don't know. Try this. Let's go there. Nah, I don't want to go there. Okay, well, where do you want to go? I don't know. I don't know. Where do you want to go? And it just becomes this madhouse of confusion. But I have determined that decision making works much like a muscle. It's strengthened by use. Matter of fact, I'll just put it this way. I think you should practice making decisions, even on little bitty things that may seem insignificant, but don't be afraid to just interject your opinion. You're learning. It's a muscle that you're developing. You're strengthened by it. And you're strengthened by its use. You're diminished by its lack of use. The more you make decisions, the easier they are. The less you make decisions, the more difficult it becomes. Now, that wouldn't be so bad, except for the fact that the time is going to come when you are legitimately going to have your back against the wall and you've got to make an important decision. And if you're weak in that area, I'm just telling you, it'll be something that you'll kick yourself 1,000 times over. Dang it, I wish I'd have done it this way, or I wish I hadn't done that. Well, most of the time that comes from lack of use and lack of thought concerning this. We really haven't been trained by how to make decisions. And I think that's very important. The strength of a leader is in the decision making, hard decisions that they make. That's why we defer to people who are very educated or very they've been vetted through a lot of pressure, because you want to see how are you going to make these decisions under this kind of pressure. As you begin to get up maybe out of our little bubble, our little circle, as you begin to get up, let's say up into the political field. I mean, can you imagine the president of the United States that literally is making decisions that's going to affect millions of people, just like that? You got to have some confidence in who you are and what you're doing. It almost has to resemble a little bit of arrogance. A lot of people would accuse leaders, strong leaders, of having this swagger, this almost arrogance, but you got to have that. Most generals that you ever will have an opportunity to have a conversation, they have that kind of confident swagger that comes across as a little bit of arrogance. But the reason is because they're making decisions. They have to believe in their decisions. And they've got to be split-second decisions, but that's that. And I know that's on that level, but that still applies to you. Sometimes it's hard to make decisions when you've not been used to it, because sometimes you're not trying to decide good from bad. That's not always so terrible. I can do that. What about the ones that are good from good? That's the ones that I struggle over. And so decision-making is very important. Now, I will say that there are going to be some times when you commission someone else or let someone else make the decisions for you, and you have to understand who they are whenever you put them in to make that decision. You got to make sure they don't have any personal agendas or personal motives. I pulled this up. I thought you would enjoy it. Now, this has got little bit of time on it. I don't have the exact date on it, but this is one of the state representatives in the state of Texas who presented House Bill 196. And I just want to read this to you. It's just it's just the most god awful thing I've ever seen in my life. But this is someone who is a representative that literally has the authority to place a bill on the table that could be passed that will affect your life and the lives of your children. Okay, this is from Representative Terry Mesa, Democrat from Irving, that has proposed and introduced House Bill 196. Her bill would repeal the state's castle doctrine. Now, what the castle doctrine does is it allows the homeowner to use deadly force against an armed intruder that breaks into his home. If someone comes in and you feel like your life is threatened, that you literally can use lethal force to stop them if you need to. That's the castle doctrine. And what she's wanting to do is to repeal that doctrine. And I want you just to listen to what she has to say. I want to read this to you. She says, "I'm not saying that stealing is okay," Mesa explained. "All I'm saying is that it doesn't warrant a death penalty. Thieves only carry weapons for self-protection and to provide the householder with an incentive to cooperate." Really? Let me read on. "They just want to get their loot and get away." Oh my God. Let me finish this. When the when oh oh Lord, when the resident tries to resist is when people get hurt. If only one side is armed, fewer people will be killed. Mesa was quick to reassure that her bill would not totally prevent homeowners from defending themselves, and she explains how right here. Under the new law, the homeowner's obligation is to flee the home at the first sign of intrusion. If fleeing is not possible, he must cooperate with the intruder. But if violence breaks out, it's the homeowner's responsibility to make sure that no one gets hurt. The best way to achieve this is to use the minimum non-lethal force possible, because intruders will be able to sue for any injuries that might be at the hands of the homeowner. Then she continues. I want you to listen to this. In most cases, the thief needs the money more than the homeowner does, Mesa reasoned. Okay, I'm going to read it one more time. Oh my God. In most cases, she said, the thief needs the money more than the homeowner does. The homeowner's insurance will reimburse his losses. And then she makes this statement. Now you're beginning to see a personal motive come into this. On balance, the transfer of property is likely to lead to a more equitable distribution of wealth. Bingo, right there. You got it? Distribution of wealth. That is the personal motive. It is a perverted form of distribution. The distribution that says, if I can't get it any other way, I'm going to come in and rob you, and that way the things that you have, suddenly I'll have, and bingo, the wealth is distributed. Okay? Now, the doctrine of retribution, that began a few years ago, and it's just a bad idea. It is a bad idea. I pulled this up on the thesaurus, and it interprets retribution as this. Retribution means vengeance, revenge, payback, and reprisal. vengeance, revenge, payback, and reprisal. Now, the concept of retribution, it demands an unanswerable solution. And it's therefore basically used by people that have an agenda to inflame injustice that certainly stains and defiles the pages of our history, but it has no real answer. It's just not an answer. And that's what she was trying to justify this silly piece of legislation by pushing that personal agenda. Now, she said, if my bill can make the transfer a peaceful one, so much the better. In other words, it would be nice if we can get it normally, if we can get it through legislation, but if not, then we will have to do it unpeaceably. Okay? Now, that was behind what she says. Now, my thought is I wonder if her constituents knows how dumb she is. Hopefully, they don't agree with this type of thinking, but they don't. But I want you to understand now, and I brought this whole thing up because I want you to know this is the danger of letting people into your life that makes decisions that influence you and your future. You need to know who it is that's speaking into your ear. You need to know who it is that's making decisions in regard to your life. I mean, that's very important. You've got to be careful. Now, I'm using politics here as a backdrop because that's an easy one. But you can even come down to the level of relatives and friends who come in to make decisions for you, and you don't know what their personal agenda actually is. They might be making decisions for you that's not going to reflect your values. You understand that? You need to be involved because your opinion is a reflection of your values, and they may not hold your values. It may be the situation that they're just doing it based on the things that really just tick them off. And therefore they become biased, they become prejudiced, they become manipulative, they come up with their own personal agenda and start trying to leverage what you have through their decision making. Now, this House bill just shows how people who would seem to be normal, you would look at this woman, you think she's very normal, but how they can have ideas that would affect people in a very negative way. I'm just telling you, in a very negative way. I'm just telling you right now. Some thief wants to break into a house in Texas. They better be carrying more than a gun because they're going to need it. Because just about everybody I know has a gun and is not afraid to use it. But again, that encourages activity that is dangerous to your life, to our community, but someone else is making that decision. They're making that. You're not making that decision. They're making it. You can say, I protest. I don't care. I'm going to make this decision anyway. You need to be aware of who's involved in the decision making of your life. You need to be involved. You need to be involved in the information. And I know it's tedious. I know it's difficult. But you need to read the fine print. You need to be aware of what's happening with you guys. I'm just telling you right now, don't be someone who just goes along with the crowd. Somebody just sign your name here. Well, I signed it. What did I sign? I don't have a clue. Well, something's about to happen to you. I'm not sure what it is. Somebody's about to come pick up your car or your house or they're going to do something, or you're going to be involved in something by hook or by crook. You need to know what's going on in your life. You have to be able to do that so you can make the right decisions. I mean, we're surrounded by people that are very foolish, and I'll even say sometimes evil. It's the truth. People who sit around and make judgments about our life. You've got friends like that. You got people who sit back. Have you ever seen someone that's going to get divorced? Isn't it amazing how someone who's going to get divorced somehow gets hooked up with someone who got divorced? And the opinions of that person is so tainted, kind of those things, misery loves company, that everything they throw into your situation is toxic. You know what I'm saying? They sit in the cheap seats of life. They'll spend your money. Ain't nobody will spend your money like somebody else. They'll move you around. They'll tell you what you need. They make statements like, oh, I'd never put up with that. Really? Well, I'd never would put up with that. And that's like I said, they see someone getting a divorce. Well, you were mishandled. I would never put up with that. I'm going to tell you something. I have learned that is one of the most disingenuous statements that could ever be made, because you don't know what you would put up with until you're on fire. And it's very important that you not sit in the cheap seats of life and give opinions that affect people, that can affect people in a very negative way, not just for the moment, but for their entire life. I'm just telling you, we listen to people make statements like that, you know, and you quit your job, you get a divorce, you move across the country, you invest in something stupid without even thinking about it, letting someone else pressure you. I couldn't make the decision. Well, they just pressured me and I just gave in. I just did it. Well, this is what I'm talking to you about today. You need to come to the place that you are making decisions for your life that affect your life in a very positive way. I do want options to consider. Let me just say that. It's very important to me when I make a decision that I get feedback. I want as many ideas, both pro and con, about that situation. I want all of those on the table so I can make that decision. I think one of the key points in decisions making is the fact that you've got to know the facts. And the more information you can get, the better decision that you can make. You know, with all good decisions, other than just simply the stroke of luck, someone has done their homework. Somebody has looked at the small print. Somebody has done what they've needed to. And that's very important. Now, I realize, let me just throw in this little caveat. I realize that some decisions are time sensitive, and such as contracts, as crisis, and they have to be handled. However, this is very important. Sometimes it's just the simple pressure from other people that's forcing us into making decisions that affects our life. And you've got to discern where that pressure is coming from. I mean, you've got to do it, because decisions are the most important part of your life because they lay the groundwork for your future. Your decisions are laying the groundwork for the house you're going to build. You know, if you're going to just put up a tent, all you got to do is sweep off the ground. If you're going to put up a skyscraper, you're going to have to dig down deep. That takes a decision. You got to dig deep and lay steel in the foundation of that. That takes a decision. And the decisions that I make now are going to determine whether I put up a tent or whether I put up a skyscraper. Okay? So get the information together. Find all the information you can about it. And then once you get that stuff, trust yourself. You say, what if I make a mistake? Well, I would rather make a mistake listening to my heart than I would to make a mistake by vacillating back and forth and turning my decisions into the hands of somebody else. I wish I had just listened to myself. You ever said that? I have. I wish I had just listened to myself. Listen, I wrote this down. I want to share it with you. Even as the mouth tastes meat and wine, the mouth tastes it, so should you try all the words of instruction. Just like you taste meat and wine, you need to try all of the words of instruction that are given to you, because your spirit can discern right from wrong, and your inward man will instruct you in matters of the heart. I believe if a person will listen to their heart, that they won't ever make a mistake. You know, I'll tell you the truth. I come to the place, as a matter of fact, the Bible says, the King James says it like this. It says, let the peace of God rule your heart. The Amplified Version says it like this: let the peace of God be your umpire. Now, you know what an umpire does. An umpire allows or disallows a call. In other words, whether I have peace about something is whether I allow it or not. If I don't have peace about it, I'm not taking it. And that's what you want to do, is you want to be able to trust yourself, get all of the information that you can, and then once you have all of that information, I'm making a decision in my mind, but now I'm going to go deeper and I'm going to go listen to my heart, and I'm letting peace be the umpire. How does my heart instruct me, whether I have peace about it? Come on, you know that's true. Have you ever made a decision that you didn't have peace about? I mean, you're going, God, I knew it when I did it, it was going to cost me. You know what that meant? That meant they violated their peace. I truly believe this. I think if a person will learn to listen to their peace, they'll never make a bad decision. They'll never make a mistake. And that's so very important, because what you have in your heart is the reflection of what you believe, of who you are. My decisions actually reflect who I am. My decisions reflect my values. So I want to just encourage you to do this. Refuse to let people pressure you into making decisions. Now, I'm not saying don't make decisions, because there's sometime you can get to where you just don't make a decision, and pretty soon you just don't make a decision about anything. And you've got everything in your life so bottlenecked that you can't even get through life. But I'm talking about when you feel pressure, get away from it if you can. Now, again, there's some things that are time sensitive. You got to pull the facts together and make the decision. But the majority of decisions that we make, you have a few moments to reflect. What does my heart feel? What does my heart say about this situation? Okay. Now, there's just a couple of things that you need to know about decision making. I want to just throw out a couple of bullet points to you and some things that I think will help you. When I make a decision, other than me, who will my decision affect? In other words, because that's got to be taken into consideration. That's a greater weight of responsibility. And sometimes I have to show more caution because of people that it might affect. Okay? I want to say that when you make a decision, do everything within your power to take time to make sure it's the right decision. But once you make that decision, don't hesitate to pull the trigger on it. Once you make the decision, don't hesitate to pull the trigger. Don't hesitate to take action. I think that's very important in the development of your decision-making abilities. It isn't just to decide something needs to be done. It's to take action on what needs to be done. And that's huge, because a lot of people can say, well, I knew it was, but I was afraid to do that. No, listen to me. That's part of it. You'll get to where then you don't even trust your decisions. So when you make a decision, do everything in your power to make sure that you have the time and the resource and the material and everything else to make sure that it's the right decision. But once you come to that conclusion, don't hesitate to pull the trigger. Act on it. Do it. Be a decision maker. Be decisive. That's how you do it. See, a lot of people you might even look at and think, well, they're really decisive, but you don't know how much homework that they've done behind that decision. Maybe it's reflected as they just, wow, I just made the decision. Wow, I wish I could make decisions like that. Well, if you had maybe done the homework that they did, you certainly could do that. Okay? So that's very important. Don't hesitate to do that. You cannot ignore the responsibility of making decisions. That's another point that I wanted to bring to you today. I think this is very important. It kind of reminds me of canoeing on a swift river. I don't know if you've ever done that before. Maybe you've watched it done. But if you don't make the decision, the river is going to make the decision for you. Life is in motion like that river. And it's going to take you someplace. I'm just telling you right now. It's going to take you someplace. It's not going to leave you. It's going to take you someplace. And you're going to have to make the decision with that paddle. See, that paddle, the book of James, it talks about the tongue being a small member. It likened it to the bit you put in a horse's mouth that you turn that horse this way or this way by the tongue. And then he likened it to a ship, though it be so great. I mean, have you ever taken a cruise? Baby, that's a floating city. 5,000, 7,000 people on that thing, living their life, enjoying, partying. I mean, it's huge. But it said, the James said, yet the ship is turned about with a very small rudder wherever the governor wants to take it. You're the governor over your ship, and your tongue is the thing that sets the motion. Now, let me just bring it a little closer to what I'm saying. Your tongue, what you say, that's your action. You're making the decision. Am I going to go to the right or the left? I'm going to say it and do it. I'm going to act on it. Faith without corresponding actions is dead, being alone. So that's why it's important. So you got to understand that if you don't make decisions, if you don't take action, then life is going to sweep you along, and you're going to just have the consequences of whatever you did or didn't do. Okay? That's very important. I think that the reason it's so difficult is because decision making is a learning process. I mean, you really do. You learn to make decisions. That's difficult. It just is. It's I don't know whether I said it a while ago or not, but I certainly was thinking it. It's a muscle that's got to be developed. How you learn things, your memory, that's a learning process. Everything that you do, it is a learning process. You've got to learn to make decisions. Practice making decisions. Practice with little things. What do you want to eat? I'm going to make a decision. I want this. Well, it's not what everybody else wants. Well, okay, we can go with that, but at least I made my decision and put my stake in the ground. This is what I want, okay? So that's very important. Now, let me give you another reason real quickly. And I know I'm throwing a number of things at you, but I want you to consider another reason to make decisions is because if the direction of your life is somebody else's fault, then it's going to take somebody else to fix it. If the direction of your life is somebody else's fault, it's going to take somebody else to fix it. You're going to have to take responsibility and accountability. I want you to remember it's your decision and not other people's that should determine your direction. They can give you counsel, they can give you support, they can help point the right direction, but you've got to make the decision as to what direction your life is going to go. Refuse to let other people pressure you into making decisions. I'm just telling you that people will pressure you to do it, and we respond to pressure. Do you know that? I mean, some of the worst decisions are made when you're angry, you're tired, you're lonely, or you're hungry. And I'll use that last one for sure. The worst thing that I can do is go to the grocery store to buy something when I'm hungry, because I'm just telling you, man, I'll come back, I'll go for 5 things, I'll come with a basket of things that I most likely don't need and that isn't good for me. But I'm letting other things influence my decision making, okay? And I'll tell you one more thing here real quickly. If you're having problems making decisions, change your atmosphere. Go do something totally unrelated to your decision making. And get your head in gear someplace else. Go to your car. Go to the park. Change. Take a nap. Do something. If you're having a problem making decisions, get out of that environment. I think that's very important. I have found that I was able to, once I would sleep on it. Have you ever made a decision, I'm going to do something because I'm mad? I am. I'm just mad about it. I read this. That's why it's important before you post anything on the internet or send a letter, especially if it's a letter of complaint or grievance. You need to write it and lay it on the table for a day. Come back the next day. It is amazing how many times that I got all excited and all upset, all fired up in the moment. I'd write something, well, that's going to show them, and I'd go take a nap, and I would come back later, and I'd think, I don't want to send that. That doesn't reflect me. So sometimes sometimes when you're in a situation that maybe you're having a problem making decision or you've got something that's very intense, it's important maybe just to kind of change the atmosphere. Okay? Change the atmosphere. And oh yeah, there is one other thing that I did feel like I need to say to you. There's been times also when people were talking to me about something and it was going to require maybe some kind of action or whatever from me. And they're talking to you about something that's going to require decision from you. And his or her language is over your head. Don't pretend to be smarter than you are. Don't do that. Stop them. Stop them right where they are and tell them, say, put this in a language I can understand. Make sure that you understand in terms that you can digest exactly what it is that you're agreeing or disagreeing to. That's so very important. I mean, there's a lot of aspects concerning decision making. I mean, we could probably go on and on about this, but I wanted to just at least throw this down for you to consider and maybe add a few little tidbits that can help you or maybe assist you in your decision making process. I want to say how thankful I am that you've joined me. I do desire and I pray that you will be successful in life. That's the cry of my heart. I'm going to ask that you please push like, push share, push subscribe, and that would be a blessing to me. Thank you for your friendship to me. Thank you for being a friend. I truly mean that. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. So until then, I want you to have a great, great day. All right. God bless you. And I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.